And the establishment is like, well, you can't win. You're not our chosen candidate. It's like, how do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know? You have no idea what voters want. If you knew what voters want, we wouldn't be in this mess in the first place.
We wouldn't be in this mess. Hard agree. Well, thanks so much for joining me. Amanda, would you mind introducing yourself and run for something?
I'm Amanda Litman. I'm the co-founder and president of Run for Something. Run for Something recruits and supports young, diverse progressives running for state and local office all across the country.
I love that. How did it start? How did Run for Something start?
So Run for Something was born of the ashes of the 2016 election. I worked for Secretary Clinton's presidential campaign for 2 years. May it rest.
Yeah.
And about a week after Election Day in 2016, I started hearing from friends I'd gone to high school and college with. Hey, Amanda, I'm a public school teacher in Chicago. I'm thinking about running for office. If Trump can do this, seems like anybody can. What do I do? And at the time, if you were young and newly excited about politics and wanted to do more than vote and more than volunteer, there was nowhere you could go that would take your call. So I reached out to a whole bunch of people with an idea. What if we solved this problem? One of those folks became my co-founder, Ross Morales Raquetto. We wrote a plan, we built a website, and then we launched Run for Something on Trump's first inauguration day, thinking it would be small. We'd get 100 people who want to run in the first year. What a fun hobby this would be. We had 1,000 people sign up in the first week. And as of today, we're up to more than 220,000 young people who've raised their hands to say they want to run. We've endorsed more than 3,000 campaigns, and we've elected more than 1,500 people across 49 states plus DC, all millennials and Gen Z, mostly women and people of color, and about a quarter LGBTQ plus.
What's the state you're missing?
Idaho. We've
I don't
endorsed,
know.
but we've never won an election in Idaho. So if you know someone who wants to run in Idaho, we would love to help you win and get our 50th state.
Anybody out there, just hit me up and I'll connect you. So let's talk. I'm just going to jump right in and
Mhm.
talk about Mamdani.
Let's do it.
It's so exciting. When I first talked to your team about talking to you, the number of people who had signed up with Run for Something since Mamdani won the primary was a different number than it is now.
Mhm.
So tell us about like what's happened, what have the results been, and why do you think his win has been such a driver?
So we have seen more than 10,000 young people raise their hands to say they want to run in the just about 2 weeks since the election. It's our biggest moment of organic candidate recruitment since Trump won, which was around the same amount number of people, around 10,000 people in the 2 weeks after the election, then around 10,000 people now. Now, one, what this tells me, which I love to hear, is that fear, very powerful, hope, also very powerful. And we forget that, and it's nice to know. I think what we've been hearing from people signing up is a few things. One, seeing someone go up against the establishment and win, such an important reminder. They are not unbeatable, they only go unchallenged. We can take them on, and if you are willing to put in the work, you can win. The second thing I think people looked at and saw was like, this is a 33-year-old guy who looks like me, lives like me, talks like me, uses the internet like me, has dumb videos of himself on the internet like me. He is so clearly values driven, and those values allow him to show up as himself in all kinds of spaces. That faculty of communication is really inspiring for anyone who's been online since they were, 14 or 10 or however long so many of us have been online.
Yeah.
The third thing that I think has really inspired folks is the things he was talking about were not these like big abstractions like, yes, it's fighting Trump, yes, it's like protecting democracy, but more than any of that, it's cost of living, it's cost of housing, it's childcare, it's transit, it's the kind of things that so many local leaders run on. And Run for Something only works with candidates running for things like city council, mayor, school board, library board, and the like. So when you run for those offices, that's what you're talking about. And seeing that that can connect so powerfully with voters, especially with voters who don't traditionally show up in these kinds of elections, was really, really inspiring.
I really love the point that the establishment isn't unbeatable, they're just unchallenged. And I think that's partially having grown up seeing like the same freaking faces. Like we've all seen Andrew Cuomo's face for 20 plus years, and they become this like giant myth that we then feel like we have to topple, but really he's like just a guy and an annoying one.
Yeah, I think people take the bluffing from the establishment. I mean, we see this with Trump too. Like he bluffs. He
Mhm.
can't, I mean, he can do some stuff, but like often if you fight back, he folds. The same is true, especially in the Democratic side. Like the Democratic establishment, they are all bark and almost no bite. And
Hmm.
when you, especially if you're able to bring the people with you, which Mamdani was able to do, and we see many other candidates do this too, like they don't have a base of people anymore that they can powerfully mobilize to the polls. Donors are not really interested in what they have to say. Like it is a lot of bluffing with confidence. Like
Hmm.
we're gonna take you on and we're gonna win and we're gonna, you know, bully your consultants, make it hard for you to hire staff. It's like you can't do shit about shit. And more
Yeah.
importantly, you don't know shit about shit. Like, and I think that is the thing that has been driving me the most crazy, both with Mamdani's race, but also with so many of the Run for Something alum we've now seen start to run for higher office, who are these young leaders with governing experience who are challenging the establishment or entering primaries the establishment doesn't want them to be in. And the establishment is like, well, you can't win. You're not our chosen candidate. It's like, how the fuck do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know? You have no idea what voters want. And if you knew what voters want, we wouldn't be in this mess in the first place.
We wouldn't be in this mess. Hard agree. I think that like I don't know how this happened. I'd probably have to sit and like write some sort of thesis about it, but the Democratic Party has become this party of like ideas and vibes, and the Republican Party has somehow become this party of results, even at any cost, at any cost. They don't care about the principles or anything like that. But I think that's what draws people to it. And it's just such a dusty way that like the Democratic establishment has been operating. And all of these new and exciting Democrats who are like, no, we're actually just going to do common sense things like people.
Sometimes it might not work, but isn't it better to try things and to like get caught trying in the process to show people that we are willing to like cut through the BS to get things done for them? I think that is such a lost art.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
yeah.
So you've been really outspoken about the Democratic Party, especially's gerontocracy problem, which I am in complete agreement with you about. You know, we've had three elderly members of Congress, all Democrats, died in the House just this year so far, and it's only July. So why do you think that these folks hang on to power so long? And why do we keep putting them there? Because we have agency here. So why do we keep electing them? And why won't they go away?
Let's talk about them first. So I think partially it is because when you are a member of Congress, we'll talk about member of Congress, members of Congress specifically, like this has become your whole identity. Your
Mm,
job is your whole life, especially as most of these boomers or silent generation folks, like they don't have identities outside of their work. That seems really sad. And it means the idea of retirement is really daunting. To step aside is to like give up the only thing you've done for decades. I mean, everyone knows their like parent or grandparent who like really had to get pushed to retire or like sort of dragged their feet, sort of leave the thing that had so absorbed them. It's really scary. So I have some empathy for that. Like that can be really hard. And also, while everyone is entitled to age and dignity with respect, no one is entitled to age as one of the most powerful people in the country because
mm,
it's doing a disservice to the American people in the process. I also think I mean, putting aside like some of the gossipy nature of all of the Biden stuff in this particular moment, we have seen that these conversations are not having internally. Because it's not in the incentive structure of the staff or the family to say, you know what, ma'am or sir, the time has come. It's time for you to leave. Because that puts the staff in a position where, like, oh, I might be out of a job soon.
hmm.
It is why I think it is so important to have this conversation from the outside to like put public pressure on these folks. And on the voter side, I give voters a little bit of a break here because often there isn't an opposition, there isn't a challenger. But when there is, I really encourage people to give new voices a chance. These
Hmm.
competitive primaries, especially because that's where we're going to get our new leadership to come from. These competitive primaries are a chance for us as a party to decide what we believe. Consider hearing out the new person, especially if they are someone that is connected with community, that is able to communicate, that has like a clear understanding of the urgency of the crisis that we are in. Yes, there is wisdom that comes with experience, but there's also wisdom that comes with fresh eyes, and that can be powerful too.
How do you feel about age limits?
I think it's definitely something to consider. I mean, there's a lot of industries that have them. There's certain state judiciaries that have them. There's consultants that have them. Pilots have them. I think it's definitely something to consider. I also think we need to be more open and honest about how sometimes like biology is not on your side in this regard. And I think that makes this conversation really hard, and we should acknowledge that. Like part of the problem with this conversation happening is it reminds us that we're all going to die.
Yeah.
It sucks. And like it makes it really uncomfortable. but we have to own up to it because the stakes are too high not to.
Well, what do you say to people? I mean, when I talk about this, I get immediately my comment section's full of people calling me ageist.
Hmm.
How do you, I mean, sure. I kind of don't care though. Like, I don't grant the premise, but I also kind of don't care. But like, how do you handle those sorts of comments, or what would your response?
I have been getting them since Run for Something started because we only work with candidates 40 and under. To which
Mhm.
I say, like, maybe, yeah, okay, but biology is pretty ageist. And also, I think we have to think about what we can do to get the best possible results for the American people. And if that means bringing younger leaders in, or if that means making sure that the number of folks at the room, that the average age isn't in the 60s, 70s, or 80s, like we have a responsibility to do that. And in particular, no, I wrote a whole book, cover back here, about millennial and Gen Z leadership. I can tell you, based on the extensive research and interviews I've done, when you let millennials and Gen Z take power, good things happen.
Mm.
Sometimes bad things too, but generally speaking, good things happen because there is such a clear-eyed sense of urgency. There's also such a clear vision of what values you bring to the work that you do and about how do you build a job or a sense of self that is beyond the work that you do, which is how you then can create environments where no one feels like they have to hold on to their position for 30 years. They can have a life outside of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how do you convince, okay, running for office and
Mhm.
serving in local politics is time consuming, it can be expensive, general pain in the ass. Why should people do it anyway? Especially young people who have like careers to build and diapers to change.
Well, first, I think it's really important to say Run for Something doesn't think of our work as convincing people to run for office, because I actually think you don't want to convince a candidate to do it. What you want to do is say, yes, you can, and we will be here to help. We're going to open the door for you, and then we're going to hold your hand as you walk through it and be with you every step of the way. But I don't want to beg and plead someone to run for office. If I have to, they're not going to be a good candidate, and they're certainly not going to be good at the job. Now, all of that being said, if you're thinking about it, running for office is absolutely hard. And every person I've spoken to has done it, win or lose, has said it is worth it. I
Mhm.
think a lot about what Representative Sarah McBride, who Run for Something worked with in her state Senate race so long ago, once told me, which is that if you want to fall in love with the place you live, run for office because it puts you in touch with your neighbors in such a powerful way. It is so deeply community building and it gives you such agency. Like, especially if you are feeling so helpless and like you have no control over what's happening, running for office is a way to circumvent all of the decision makers because you just get to become the decision maker. Like, instead of being the protester, be the one who gets protested because then you just get to make up your mind yourself. It is so empowering. It is so beautiful to get to live the impact of your work every day. And especially if you're thinking about career building or professional development, like even running for office if you lose is such a supercharger for your skills as a communicator, as like a values-driven leader, as a manager. It is such a meaningful way to make a difference both for yourself as a person and for your community.
Have you seen any hesitance since what happened in Minnesota?
It's something I was really concerned about, and
Yeah.
I think a lot about the responsibility we have asking people to run for office and what it means to ask them to be brave, which has always required courage, but in particular now a bravery around your safety and the safety of your family and your loved ones. We certainly have seen some folks consider not doing it because of what kind of threats they might face. We've seen some incumbents or current electeds question whether they want to stay in it. But, in the same couple weeks since then have been our biggest recruitment moments yet.
Yeah.
So I am hopeful that the young people who are looking at this and thinking maybe I want to run acknowledge and know are clear-eyed about the threats they might face. And we need them to be brave because the point of that violence is to scare good people out of leadership. We
Mm.
can't let that win.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have. Anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No, the last thing I would say is that 2025, as you well know, and your content has been highlighting, is not an off year. There are so many candidates currently running. There are elections happening all the time. And if you're thinking about possibly running one day in the future, getting involved in these local races right now is a great way to see what it's like, to get to know the people who do it in your community, and to build the skills that you might need as a candidate. It is, there's no more impactful way than doing something locally.
Yeah, go do it.
Go
Well,
do
thank
it.
you so much for your time and good
Thank
luck to all your
you.
candidates. I will be talking to some of them soon, so. All
Love it. Thanks,
right.
Amanda.